it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are finally going to finish up my reading journal for 2023. Now, y'all, this has been a problem for me over the past few months, as I'm sure that you may have noticed since I have not updated it since August. So for this video, we will be putting everything into place for September, October, November, and December. So the thing of it is that I'm working out of an Archer and Olive notebook, which I absolutely adore the notebook itself. It's beautiful notebook, beautiful paper, but I think that I kind of screwed myself in 2022 because I did not use sticker paper. I used regular printer paper, like shiny, nice printer paper that you print off photos on. And it just created such a bulk from my pages from 2022 that 2023 has been kind of an issue to work out of. I haven't loved like the way that I set this book up at the beginning of the year. So then by the end of the year, I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of over it. Now, one page I do always really like is this, what I read in 2023. It's kind of just a big overview page with all of the photos. But again, as you can see, I would expect nothing less. I could not fit my last two books on here. And since I only had two book covers, I was not going to create like a flip or something like that. I just thought, whatever, we're just going to let those two books sit it out and I will just not include those because all the other ones ended up fitting decently. So that's the way it's going to be for this year. So then, of course, I have my monthly favorites, which I do always enjoy this spread. I think it's fun to kind of look back and remember my favorite books from each month. So the ones that I'm popping in here for September, we have Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Then we have Britney Spears' The Woman in Me, Never Lie by Frida McFadden for November. And then December, I have The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. So all of those were my favorites, and I really do enjoy that spread. Then we move on to my book Shelfie, and this one's always fun as well. These are some printables. I believe I'll have those linked below if you're interested in printing them off yourself, but they're really fun kind of to create a color-coded system and then go through and color all your books in and write all of the titles in. So that's been something that I always kind of like look forward to do out of all of these things. So for these, my color coding system is 5-star through 1-star. So I don't even know if I ever had, I think I only had one 1-star. So it was one of those dreaded Joanne Fluke books. So I did have one 1-star and just a couple 2-stars this entire year. So most of them are the yellow 3s, along with a lot of 4s and then a few 5s sprinkled in there as well. So here I'm just filling in all of these books. I had a lot to put in, I think close to maybe 20 or so since I was missing the last 4 months. So we're going to color those in and pop in all of the titles, and then this page will be finished. I just happened to have the perfect amount to finish this 3rd row, and then I didn't read anymore, so I don't have the 4th row completed at all, but it was kind of nice that it was like on an even row there. It just kind of worked out nicely. So then I'll add in all of the titles. Actually, before I ever turn the camera on, I always go through on my Goodreads and I write down, like for instance, for this time in my notebook, I had like September through December. I would write down quickly like all of the books that I read. I would go ahead and jot down if it was a 5-star or a 4-star or whatever. And then I would also jot down the total number of pages for those books. And then I'll tally up the complete number of pages for each month. So I always have like a little bit of something that I'm looking at to kind of help me, like my little cheat sheet there, so that I can see all the stats that I need to know for my before I start like really filling everything in. So once again, this project had to throw a wrench in what I was trying to do. So yesterday, actually, I'm recording this on Friday, and yesterday on Thursday, I actually started prepping everything. So this project always takes a little bit of time, which I think is why I've put it off a lot, because I'll have to go on Goodreads, I'll have to see what books I read for what months, go and save all of those book covers off of Google, get those onto the computer. I have to print them off multiple sizes for all these different spreads spreads, either the What I Read spread, where they're much smaller, to the favorite books, to the book club that I host, to all the monthlies. So I have to print them off a lot of different sizes and all that kind of stuff. So I'll do all of that, and I'll have to get all of my prep work done, as I was mentioning before. So I got all that stuff completed. Everything was ready to go. But I could not find the stamp set that I used throughout this entire year, the Sophie Alpha stamp from Citrus Twist. I cannot find it. I have looked in every crevice of my craft room that I can think of, and it's just missing. So I'm sure that it will show up at some point, but I don't know what I did with it. I will admit that I have been pretty horrible at keeping my craft room organized over these past few months with all the big hitter projects at the end of the year, like October Daily, and I had a travel album in November and December Daily, and then starting the new year, and everything's a mess. So I have no clue where that Sophie Alpha stamp is. So I went ahead and reordered it from Citrus Twist because I wouldn't mind just having a backup anyways if it does show up, because it's one of my all-time favorite stamp sets. But I really did not want to wait another week or so for that stamp set to get to me, because I had everything ready to go, and I just wanted to wrap up this project. So I just chose a totally different stamp set, and honestly, I'm not sure what that stamp set is off the top of my head. I've already put it away, but if you want to know, just comment below. But I did just grab kind of just a basic stamp set out of my stash. It's a completely different one. I mean, you can see it's not similar in any way, but I just kind of grabbed it out. So for these last 4 months and everything that I had to stamp in here, it's just a different stamp set. And at this point, I've just kind of given up. I mean, obviously, I was not recording my books for the last 4 months. So if I can just finish the book, I mostly did this for you guys. I do like to have all my projects completed, which I typically do not have a problem completing projects that I start. I don't have very many open-ended projects. I'm just the type of person that if I've started something, I have all the crap out on my desk. I like to just wrap it up, get all that stuff, use it all up, and then put it away and not have to keep bringing all that stuff back out. I just like to move on to the next thing. So with the reading journal, I just put it off for so long, but I did just want to finish it up. And since I had all the other components out on my desk ready to go, I just thought, what does it even matter at this point? Let's just stamp the titles with some other stamp set and move on. So this one just is what it is this year, right? I'm glad I got it completed, and I didn't want to wait any longer. So with that said, you'll notice a different stamp set. So that is that explanation. So as far as what I'm doing here, I'm working on my monthly spreads, and for these, I'm kind of doing a batch system. So you'll see that I went through and I stamped out all of my titles, which are always the month with the stats written. So I did that for all 4 of my months there. Then I moved on to drawing the boxes, and once again, I'm not very picky with my boxes. You can see I tried to go by the little dots that are there. They're great oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart, but they're a really good way to keep you on track, at least somewhat, with drawing your boxes. But I don't get like a ruler out and all of that. I just kind of wing it. I don't mind the little wonkiness of my book. And that's why I don't do something like bullet journaling or something. I just can't. I'm just a more free-flowing type person. So I have my boxes there drawn on. Now I'm going to go through and I will outline all of my titles for all 4 of the months. So we'll get those into place here. And then I'll start going in with my stamp sets and recording all of the stats. So for me, just batching it up kind of helped, because I could stamp that one stamp set at one time. Then I could get my pens out and draw all of the boxes at one time, go ahead and go through and outline everything at once. And then we'll go through with the Honey and Spice alpha and number stamp set from Heidi Swapp. And that's what I've been using in there for all of my numbers. And then we'll move on to adding all of the books into place. So that's just kind of something that worked for me and was an easier way for me to knock out 4 months at a time. So this was definitely something obviously I had put off. And then as I have known in the back of my mind, I really need to get that finished. And I was determined to have this project completed this month in January at least. But the more you get behind, the easier it is to put it off, So the fact that I was 4 whole months behind, I was like, what does it matter? I'm not even going to worry about it. But before I started my new journal this year, I did want to wrap this one up. So speaking of, I do have a different approach this year that I hope is going to be a little easier and smaller approach. So I don't want to give anything away, but I will have a video up probably next month in February, documenting this month's reads, and you'll get to see how I'm going to be documenting everything for this year, 2024, which I hope will be a little bit easier for me. That's at least what my goal is for sure. So then as I finished outlining everything, I also wrote in just the little tiny kind of titles for all the boxes that just say total reads at the top. And then it says audio, ebook, and physical. Then I have another random stamp set that just has this inner and outer circle. And so I just started using that. I'm wondering if it was in my mind. I think it might have been from the Me, Myself, and I kit from Hiba last year in 2023. That's just like ringing a bell. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but I just liked this circle with the outline. So I started using it at the beginning of the year. And that's just to put my little titles here for those larger boxes. So then eventually I will put those in place as well. And the first box is just going to have my genres written down. And my second box is going to have my total number of pages. So now, of course, we're going to go in and add in the Honey and Spice stamp set that I was mentioning before. I'm going ahead and adding a 0 for that ebook because I never read ebooks. So see, this was something else that was kind of annoying me about the way that I was documenting the books. I think it just kind of goes along with as you start reading more, as you start documenting more, you figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So for me, I already knew, I think, starting 2023, by documenting in 2022, I knew that I didn't really care if it was an audio, an ebook, or a physical, but for some reason, I just didn't know what else to put there, so I just made it so prominent within those boxes. But for me, the main way that I consume books is by audio, and then also I do like to buy physical books, so I will read physical books from time to time, but I hardly ever pull out my Kindle, so I always have a 0 there. So that's not really something that I need to have like front and center. I don't really care that much. Also with those bigger boxes underneath with the genres and the total number of pages. The total number of pages I'm good with. I think that's interesting. But, and that's just, of course, I've added up all of the page, the amount of all the pages for all the books that I read that month and added that in. But the genres, to have such a large box there for the genres, typically I stick to mystery, thrillers. I might have a graphic novel. I might have something else randomly, but I don't really have that many genres each month to have such a large space to document it. So again, I just wasn't that happy with some of the ways that I was choosing to document. And then here for December, I had a smaller month, so I'm only going to have 617 pages there and only 4 books read. So, December is a busy month. I didn't get around to that many. But now that I have all of those things into place, I will write out my genres and total page count here on the side. So I'll get that filled in for all of these. And then we will start actually documenting all of the books that I read, which is definitely my favorite part of all of this. I feel like there's so much work that goes into these spreads. And I think that's something that has made me kind of resent this project as well, is just that I have to lug out all kinds of stamps. I have to draw all the boxes, things that I've found that I don't super love to do. So that's why I want to kind of change it up this year and not have to document in a way that doesn't make me happy. So I'm trying to just learn what I like and really kind of focus on that more. So now that we move into the actual books for September, we'll kind of talk about some of the books that I read. So you can see here that I have 2 Joanne Fluke books here in my September, and you might be happy to know that I finished all of the Joanne fluke books in September. So if y'all have been watching my reading journal videos, you will have heard my love-hate relationship, mostly hate, with these Joanne Fluke books. But she had a chokehold on me that I cannot explain, and I had to finish reading all of them. So I did complete all of the current books that are out, with the Pink Lemonade Cake Murder being the last one. So I'm not sure when the next one comes out or if it has come out since September. I'll definitely be reading it. But now that I'm done, I almost cannot believe that I would have to wait like a year to read the next one, because they're just not that good. So, but I will continue to read them. But I did finish them. So that was a big thing for me in September. I also wanted to reread a couple of Riley Sager books that I'd already read, and read a couple that I had not read yet. So I was kind of getting going on Riley Sager there. I had read, I think the only one left was my favorite book from the previous month, from August. So I was kind of in that mode. So I did read Lock Every Door. Now, this is the reread that I had. I had read this book years before, but I remembered the gist, but not like everything. So I reread that, and that was my big 5-star for the month and was my favorite book. Besides that, we have a cozy mystery, Peg and Rose Solve a Murder, and then I did read all 3 of the Tea Dragon Society books. They're graphic novels, and they're so cute. They're really adorable books, and I had bought the box set that had all 3 of them, and I hadn't read them yet. So that was just a fun little thing to do. I just personally love graphic novels, and these are really cute. They're basically about these people who have like a little sidekick, like a little dragon, and it's a tea dragon. So they can create tea. I guess they like maybe grow the tea leaves and stuff off of the animal. I can't quite remember everything, but it's really cute, and the illustrations were very, very beautiful. So that was fun. Then moving on into October, I read 6 books in October, and I was starting to get into the Frida McFadden books, the popcorn thrillers, as I like to call them. So I did read a couple other ones, the Shari Lapina, Everyone Here is Lying, which I did enjoy. I gave it 5 stars. It's a typical thriller. And then also an Alice Feeney with Good Bad Girl, but unfortunately I didn't love that one. And I've read some Alice Feeney books that I really loved. I love Daisy Darker, and there was another one that I really liked as well that I'm blanking on, but that one just wasn't as good to me, unfortunately, but I did read it. Also, you'll see that I started my Frida McFadden books here. I had read The Housemaid when that came out, like this year or whenever everyone was talking about it. But here I did finish The Coworker and The Wife Upstairs, and I listened to both of those while me and Will were on our trip to New York. So I was listening to a few books while we were on the airplane or the Amtrak. I also read Britney Spears, of course, The Woman in Me, which I absolutely loved. I gave it 5 stars, and that was definitely my favorite book of the month, without a doubt. And then super good if you're interested in pop culture or anything like that, even if you weren't like a crazy Britney fan. It's just really interesting. And also for my book club this month, we read Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. So I have that finishing up the books for the month. I am adding stickers, and one thing also is that I kind of started to run out of some of my stickers. I did have a few book theme stickers that I was popping in there to go with kind of those little different color raindrop looking stickers and some of the stars, but I just have been running low. So we just, used what we had and completed it. Also, I'm sorry about my head. I tried to cut out as much of it as I could, but it's really hard to cut it out. So then in November, I was actually working in my living room, and I was painting and doing a few little home projects. So I listened to so many books in November. So I have the Everand app, and it's like a audio book. I mean, there's ebooks and stuff on there too, but I was listening to so many books. So you'll see that I have so many Fridas: Never Lie, The Inmate, The Surrogate Mother, The Perfect Son, and Want to Know a Secret. So, I mean, I was just buzzing through these. Then also just from books that were like similar, I also read You Did This, which was a different author. And then the book club book of the month was Photo Finished, which was a cute cozy mystery that also took place in New York. So I definitely had New York on the brain here. And I did enjoy that one, gave it 4 stars. So for this month, these were all so similar. They're like I say, they're popcorn thrillers. So to me, they're good, they're fun to read. They have crazy twists and turns, but they're not believable at all. But that doesn't bother me. I don't mind if a thriller is just totally out there. Sometimes I think that it's really funny and interesting, but that's definitely how these were. I mean, they are just so out there. They're solely just for the fun of reading a thriller. You're not going to get much out of these. But I did really like Never Lie. I think that was like my favorite one from the month. And some of them were definitely better than others, but they were fun to listen to while I was working on my living room. It gave me something to just focus on, you know. Then moving on to December, like I said, I only read 4 books in December. So, of course, there's just so much stuff going on that month that I wasn't able to get to too many books here. Here's where I was wondering if I should have printed off my book covers for this month a little bit bigger since I only had 4 of them, but I just went with it. So I read Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubica, I think. And then also that one was fine. I was hoping it was going to be better than it was, honestly, and it was just so-so. Then I read 2 other kind of thriller novellas, another Frida called The Gift, and then The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson, which ended up being my favorite of the month. And then lastly, I did also read The Christmas Corpse. That was the book club book of the month, and it was not good. It was really not good, but it was honestly so bad that it was good, and it was really fun. Like, that was one of my favorite book club discussions that we've had on my Patreon because it was just so funny, and we had so much fun chatting about this ridiculous book. But unfortunately, I could only give it 2 stars. So filled all of that in, adding in my stickers, and then we will be done with the monthly pages here, and then we're just going to quickly move on to the last section of my journal, which is always documenting the Cozy Mystery Book Club. So we'll add all of these in, and then we'll move right along. So I've got to say, even though I did struggle through it in many ways, it feels wonderful to have this one completed. I'll definitely know from now on that documenting 2 years in this one Archer and Olive, I think, was just too much. It made it too big and bulky, and that's just not something that I personally enjoy. So now I know, but it does feel great to have these completed, and I'm excited and happy to move on to the new year. So now we're going to document my book club books. So how I always document these is I print off my book club book pick of the month, kind of big. It's like a 3 by 4.5, I think. And that's kind of like the star of the spread. It's printed off larger. And then I will add a little bit of stamping and a little bit of journaling underneath it. And then on the right side of the spread, I always print off I usually do a small, maybe 8 or 9 question, printable discussion question printable that you can print off if you want, just to follow along with the book club meeting. And so I always print that off and kind of jot down my answers and pop that into the right side of the spread. So before we work on the individuals, we will place all of these books where they belong. And I really do, one of my favorite parts of documenting in my reading journal is seeing these full spreads completed January through December. I think that's really fun. So now we will begin with putting everything into place. So first thing, we're going to adhere down all of the discussion questions. Now I got all these done, and I had to do all of these as well, because typically what I do is every month I do print these off for the discussion, but I don't usually fill them out like all nice and everything. I just kind of jot things down on them during our book club discussion. And so I hadn't actually printed these off for my book yet for this book. So I had to print all 4 of these months off, and then I went through my book club notes and I wrote everything down. So at this point, I had been working behind the scenes to get everything ready to document here for so long. So whenever I get to December, unfortunately, my adhesive runner kind of catches on this paper right here and it kind of tears it because this is just regular computer paper. It's really thin, but I just could not bring myself, you guys. I could not bring myself to reprint this off again and fill it out. I just couldn't do it. So it just has a little bit of a rip in it. I mean, it's not an actual rip. The paper is there, but it's slightly flawed. So you can see that. But again, we're just taking what we can get at this point, and we're just really happy that we finished it, right? We're just going to give ourselves a pat on the back that we even completed this book at all, because it has been a struggle for sure. So I always put a little bit of washi tape at the top just to look like that's what's holding in that paper, and then we will complete all of the stamping and all of the things on the left side. I did notice that this is just, I don't even know if y'all saw this, but down both sides of the books, on the left and right side of that larger book, I would take my yellow mild liner and kind of do little squiggle lines just for a little bit of decorative pieces here. And I will do that eventually at the end of the video. But I did notice as we were flipping back to August for Keepsake Crimes for that book, I did not add the lines. So whenever I get off of here, I'm going to make sure to draw those lines on first thing, because I don't want one to be without, but somehow I missed that last month as well. That's an easy thing to miss. So anyways, just a mental note for myself. So then what I always do is I go through and I just write out the month. I'm just doing the month abbreviations here to make it easy. And then I'll outline those just like I did previously. And then I will draw my boxes and finish up my stamping and all that kind of good stuff. So we'll just kind of go through that assembly line. And while we do that, let's just chit chat a little bit more about books and whatnot. So let me know if y'all do a reading journal. How was your documenting for 2023? Were you able to keep up? Did you have a good time? Did you like the way that you documented, or are you like me and you want to change it up somewhat? Let me know. Also, what was like a favorite book or a couple favorite books of the year? I would love to know that as well. I feel like for 2023, I did not have like the best reading year ever. And I think that that is mostly my fault, because I just feel like I did not branch out in any way. Like 2022 was just like a all around really good reading year for me, because I had not been reading very much before 2022. I mean, it was rare. I would maybe pick up an audiobook here or there, but I was definitely not like actively reading. So I read like all these really great books that I just didn't know about. You know, I was finding new authors and all that kind of stuff. I feel like in 2023, I was kind of like stuck where I was only reading the same type of books. And now I'm always going to be more on the mystery, thriller, horror side. That's just the type of books that I like. But I feel like I do want to branch out a little bit and maybe read some more meaningful books this year. We'll see if that happens. Although I'm happy to read anything. I don't think any books are, you know, inherently better than the others. I'm just happy to be reading something, but I wouldn't mind branching out a little bit, I guess. Also with the book club here, I am considering, it's a cozy mystery book club, but I am considering adding a few thriller books into the mix. And also some, like some of these stories that we've read, we might read the follow-up book for some of these stories, because it is kind of hard to find really good books that are first in a series, because I feel like with cozy mysteries, a lot of times they continue and they have like a lot of books in the series. And so sometimes it's hard, because a lot of the books that I want us to read in the cozy mystery book club are, you know, number 2 or number 3 in a series. So since we've started so many series at this point, I think some of the more standout ones that everyone seemed to enjoy, we might go ahead and read like the second one in that series this year. So I'm excited about that sort of thing as well. I do love the book club. It's super fun. It's over on Patreon. So we just read an easy book every month. We get together for a Zoom call, and it's just like a good time. The Zooms are usually maybe 30 minutes or so, maybe a little over that, but they're quick and easy. crazy because it's a lighthearted book that we're reading, but it's just a nice time to just get together and chit chat for a few minutes. And we kind of have a core group that comes, although we always love having anyone that wants to join in. It's very welcoming, sweet group, but it's really fun. So anyways, back to the spread. So you can see now I've stamped out all of my months. I've added in my couple little blocks there at the bottom, and then I've added in my other little stamping with my stickers. So now everything is in place. So all I pretty much do at this point is I'm mostly just writing my general thoughts, either about the book meeting. Was it a standout meeting? Did people like the book? Was it a no-go for most people? Would I read the next book in the series? Like, what did I think about it? So for these 4, I think my favorite one was definitely Photo Finished here. I did enjoy the story. It got a little convoluted at the end, but I did like that it was set in New York City, and I thought that it was overall pretty fun. But honestly, Christmas Corpse, this last one, was just so bad, like I said, that it was good. And so this one is a standout because of that reason. The Agatha Christie, it does have kind of a little bit of that older style. Of course, it's very old and was written a long time ago. The Peg and Rose, that one was also fine, but not a standout for me. So now I'm going to flip through and kind of show you all of the pages here a little bit slower so you can see the final pages of my book for the year. And then I will realize that I did not draw on those little yellow squiggles that I was talking about. So we're going to go back and complete those here at the very end. But wow, I honestly cannot believe I finished this today. It is definitely a feat, and I am proud of myself for getting this done. This was something that in the back of my mind, I was like, am I going to finish it? Am I going to document next year? But I really do love seeing all the books that I read, and it's a good feeling. So it's something that I do want to try to continue. But I just think tweaking it, if something's not working for you, I definitely think that it is a-okay to change it up and try to find what type of documenting works for you. And so I think a smaller scale for me and only documenting those parts that made me really happy, that's really all that I personally want to focus on for 2024. So that is what I'm going to do. So I will definitely be back sooner than later with a video showing you guys how I'm going to document 2024, and we'll get January all completed. And hopefully I won't have any of these batch months. I'm really going to try to keep up with everything. No more than like 2 months at a time, I don't think, because 4 is just, that's too much. I get overwhelmed and I don't even want to finish it. So I've learned my lesson. So I'm going to try to do better this year in 2024. So definitely a goal for me. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this process video. Let me know how your reading journey went last year and how it's going so far this year. I would love to know. And please give me a like or consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope that you enjoyed the process. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, friends, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.